This video is brought to you by these YouTube members. Thank you guys so much for your continued support. Hello everyone and welcome to the top 10 heart autoers on Bleach Brave Souls. Now there's no shortage of characters that are really good at autoing in this game. I'd say that Heart probably has the most of them. Or rather, the best ones in the game just happen to be Heart. As always, please keep in mind this list is my opinion, and you're welcome to your own. After all, you can auto with pretty much anyone as long as you build them correctly. With that said, let's begin.
悪ガキには血と球を据えてやらねばなるまい。行くぞ！
Starting off the list, we have the Spirits Are Forever With You version of Yamamoto, a character who came as a surprise for the banner. Since we knew Shiro and Shunsui were coming, we had no idea about this guy. Yama has a really high attack as well as Bruiser at 20%, Flurry, and Poise. He's also got a damage reduction soul trait of 16% that can be stacked up to 76%, and he can inflict debilitating burn and weakening with all of his attacks, which he's very likely to do with his normal attack since it hits twice. While he doesn't have that high of an SP, he does have a 50% Berserker, meaning his strong attacks will do some damage. Yama's also completely immune to being weakened, which is always nice when autoing, and he's got Last Ditch Survival as an ability, meaning that if he were to go down, he just gets back up. The first time anyway. His other abilities are more tailored toward PvP because he is a PvP character. Unfortunately, that also includes his killer. He's got a Stern Ritter killer, and sadly that is one of the worst ones in the entire game, since it only really affects bosses and not that many. Still, he can take a beating and dish out an enormous amount of damage even without a really good killer. That and his auto revive ability are the reasons he ended up on this list.
お前になら全力で戦っても良さそうだ。バカだ。
Now the Fierce Battle version of Kenny may not be the most durable character on this list, but he's definitely one of the fastest. He's got a really high SP as well as a plus 40 Berserker, a plus 25 strong attack damage link, and Frenzy, meaning his strong attacks are increased by 65% by himself before Frenzy. And while his attack may not be that high, he does have a plus 40 Bruiser, meaning his normal attack is actually usable. This Kenpachi has really good range on his attacks despite not having Havoc, with a full screen strong attack 3, a beam shot strong attack 2, and a lunge move strong attack 1. These attacks cannot be interrupted thanks to his Poise ability, and all of his attacks are able to hit hidden enemies, without the use of a Zeta pill, freeing up an accessory slot for whatever you want to give him. The combination of hit hidden enemies and Poise make him one of the fastest characters to auto with, though he can still be stopped by freezing him or stunning him. Nobody's nerfed. Even still, he's one of my go-to autoers when it comes to going up against Soul Reapers, since he has a Soul Reaper killer. And even when he can't take out the entire thing by himself, you can bet that he goes really far, really fast.
そろそろ理解できたか。K は私を切るどころか近づくことすらできない。
Next up, we have the arena version of Yakuya. Now this Yakuya is really impressive, and he's got a lot of stuff going for him. He's got a really high SP, as well as a plus 20 strong attack damage link, a 12% strong attack recharge ability, and Frenzy. He's also got Havoc at 20, increasing the range of his strong attacks, and all of his attacks, except for his strong attack 2, can inflict debilitating laceration. He's also got the ability Lacerator, which randomly inflicts enemies with laceration, and he's got an ability that increases the amount of damage he deals with all of his attacks by 40% if an enemy is lacerated, which is very likely because of Lacerator. Plus, his strong attack 1 hits a really high number of times per enemy, so it's very likely they're going to be lacerated by that too. It's a shave shot with great range that hits everything in front of him. Strong attack 2 is a hybrid vortex move, and it's also a barrier move, greatly increasing this character's durability. Then we have a strong attack 3 that, thanks to the Havoc, is beyond full screen. None of these attacks can be interrupted thanks to him having Poise, and this also goes for his normal attack, which he will be using often because that strong attack 2 is a barrier move. He's got a decent attack for a high SP character, and he's got a plus 20 Bruiser. When an enemy is lacerated, this attack also gets increased by 40%, so it can actually deal some heavy damage. Finally, to top things off, he's also completely immune to being frozen, which is a really good thing to have when autoing. Honestly, I was really waiting for a remake of this Byakuya, and I'm really glad that the one we got was way better than the original. You know, I'm really glad that they're making these arena characters not arena only. Sure, they excel in arena mode, but honestly most of them excel for PvE and autoing as well.
挽回水無月雑境はこれにておしまい。
Next up, we have good old Murder Mom. Yachiro here has a really high attack as well as Flurry. And that's it. Characters with Flurry back in the day didn't really have bruisers, so Flurry is all she got. Still, she has long reach, increasing the range of her normal attack, and it still does a lot of damage, with or without the bruiser. Honestly, the main reason she's on here is because she's really difficult to take out. She has a damage reduction soul trait that can be stacked up to 76%, and her strong attack 2 is a heal move. So you do the math. Barely gets hurt, when she does, she heals. Nowadays, it may take her a bit longer than most characters to clear a quest, unless her stats are really jacked up, but even still, she's a very reliable character to take. She came out in the second round of manga characters, which means she's going to be one of the first manga characters to be resurrected. Now the only question is when that will happen, and what exactly they'll give her.
さようなら。僕の目にはもう君は映らない。
Next up, we have the Machine Society version of Izuru, who basically perfects the formula that Retsu set out for him. Izuru has a really high attack as well as a plus 30 bruiser, flurry, and a damage reduction soul trait. This can also be stacked up to 76%. Unlike Retsu though, he doesn't have poise, meaning he can't stagger when hit. To compensate for this though, he is a ranged character, so they kinda have to get to him first, which is gonna be a little tough since his normal attack does a lot of damage. All of his attacks, with the exception of his strong attack 2, can also inflict debilitating paralysis, and while his strong attacks may not deal that much damage because he has a low SP, his strong attacks 1 and 3 do hit a higher number of times than regular strong attacks 1 and 3, increasing the likelihood of inflicting paralysis. Then we have a strong attack 2 that's a heal move. And I just talked about how good damage reduction and heal move is, so I'm not going to go over that again. Topping things off, he's also completely immune to being frozen, which for him is really good since he has a hollow killer, and freeze is a hollow's favorite status ailment. That said, because he's ranged, he's not exactly on the fast end of the spectrum. Yes, he is faster than a lot of the other characters, just because he does have a good killer and flurry, but the no guard break range combination does hold him back a little bit.
使いしすぎて天外まとい万象等しく映し削らん遠楽経典
Next on the list, we have Tokinata. Now, a lot of people absolutely love this character, to a worrisome degree, to be honest. And for good reason. He's an extremely good character. He's got a really high attack, as well as bruiser at 20, and normal attack damage link of 25%, flurry, and guard break. Now he is ranged, so combine that with a Zeta pill, and you can pretty much take out everyone before they even get close to you, as long as your stats are high enough. In addition to that, he's also got Berserker at 50%, meaning that his strong attacks are also good. He's got a Beam Shot strong attack 1, a full screen strong attack 3, and a hybrid vortex move strong attack 2 that's also a boost move that increases his attack, defense, and focus by 33%. Now normally I don't really count specials when it comes to autoing, since usually you're not going to be using a special. That said, there are benefits to sometimes using a special at the beginning of a round. In this particular case, that applies, since Tokinata special transforms him, and it increases the magnification on his attacks by a decent amount, for 30 seconds at least. It also allows him to inflict status elements with some of his attacks, though they are not debilitating. Tokinata also has the benefit of being a no affiliation character, and right now there's not a lot of events with enemies with no affiliation killers. Tokinata has a Soul Reaper killer, which is currently the best killer in the game, and he's got complete immunity to paralyzation, and paralyzation to Soul Reapers is what freezes to hollows, so that's a very good thing for him to have. Sadly, he doesn't have poise, which means his attacks can be interrupted, and he can be staggered. Ranged characters also don't have the best maneuverability if enemies spawn behind them, but luckily his boost move strong attack 2 does beef up his defense a little bit, so it kinda helps him survive that way. Now I know a lot of people are gonna be upset that he's only at number 5, since like I said, people love him to an extreme degree, but the 4 ahead of him are also insanely strong. So, you know, learn to live with other people's opinions.
てめえが何だろうと構わねえ。俺の前に立ち塞がるなら食い殺すまでだ。
Next up, we have the Camp for Your Own World version of Grimjio. Now this guy is absurd. Not only does he have a really high attack, but he's also got a plus 40 bruiser, a plus 50 berserker, a damage reduction soul trait of 20% that can be stacked up to 80%, guard break, meaning guard break, and the ability to hit hidden enemies naturally, freeing up an accessory slot and making him a lot faster. Seriously, because of the poise, there's no way to stop him unless you freeze him or paralyze him. You can't guard against him, and you can't hide underground against him. Build him correctly, and he'll only really be taking a fifth of the damage, and because of that plus 40 bruiser, flurry, and berserker at 50% combination, all of his attacks are going to deal a massive amount of damage. And his strong attacks are kind of perfect for him too. He's got a strong attack 1 and 2 that are both lunge moves, and his strong attack 3 is a hybrid vortex move that gathers enemies in one spot before hitting them one final time. Something that's kind of perfect for a normal attacking character like him. He's got all of this and a Soul Reaper killer. Honestly, he's easily one of the fastest autoing characters, not just in this list, but in the entire game, as well as one of the hardest to take out.
出し惜しみはしない。全力で生かしてもらう。
Next up, we have Chad. And I know what I'm gonna see in the comments. I'm gonna see a lot of people upset that Tokinata's at number 5, but Chad is at number 3, and why would I do this, blah 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 blah. Listen, both Tokinata and Grimjio are faster than Chad. And if you got really good stats and really good accessories, I'd say take them instead, since they both have guard break and unfortunately Chad doesn't. That said, Chad is extremely durable, and a really good autoing character. Not just for what he can do himself, but also what he brings to the table. I'm talking about his special. His special grants the ability to resurrect characters if they were to go down. And if you have him first and start off the event with a special, you basically give your entire team an extra life, which is invaluable for autoing, especially if you're having a hard time in certain areas. But that's just Chad being a good team player. He's also got an extremely high attack, as well as a plus 50 bruiser, a normal attack damage link of 25%, berserker at 40%, flurry, poise, an ability that increases the melee damage he deals by 10%, increasing his own normal attack damage increase by 85%, and his own strong attack damage increase by 50%. Which is pretty good considering he's got some pretty decent strong attacks for a high attack character. With a beam shot strong attack 1 with really good range and a full screen strong attack 3. The strong attack 2 is a boost move that also heals him, and it's also a vortex move that surrounds him. It's literally a triple threat. This vortex move kind of doubles as a barrier for Chad, and the boost move has enhancers so it lasts for 20 seconds. In addition to that, the heal part of this move also comes with the ability Healer, which increases the amount of damage Chad heals. Like most of the other characters on this list, he also has a Soul Reaper killer, but more important than that, Chad has a human affiliation. And just like with no affiliations, humans don't really have a lot of enemies that have a killer towards them, meaning you can safely take them anywhere Soul Reapers are the enemies. Or really anyone are the enemies, because that special is useful in any situation. To top things off, this Chad is also completely immune to being weakened, and he can read Soul Reaper dodges, but that won't come up often in autoing, unless you're specifically grinding for Hogyakus. At number 2, and I cannot believe there's a character above her, is Masaki Kurosaki, whose name is really fun to say. Namasaki has a really high attack, as well as bruiser at 60%, a normal attack damage increase of 20%, flurry, and poise, meaning she increases her own normal attack damage by 80% before flurry. Masaki also has guard break, and she has the ability to hit hidden enemies. Basically, she's the ranged version of Grimjio in this regard, only she's a lot better, because not only are her multipliers higher, but she's also got a boost move for her strong attack 2, that increases her attack, defense, and focus by 33%. It's also a barrier move, and it greatly increases her durability. Honestly though, she may not even need it. Her attacks deal so much damage, and she has guard break, plus she has the ability to hit hidden enemies. It's likely she's gonna take out the enemies before they even get to her, and even if they do, and she doesn't have any barriers left, she has poise, so she won't even stagger, she can take them out while they're attacking her. Literally the only way to stop her is to paralyze her, since she's immune to being frozen. The only possible negative thing you can probably say about her is that she has a no affiliation killer, but even that doesn't really matter anymore since it's such a common affiliation to go up against. She's also human/Quincy, and much like regular humans and no affiliation characters, there's not a lot of enemies that have this as a killer. She's a phenomenal character, an amazing autoer, and can only really be topped by the most broken character in the entire game. But before I get to said broken characters, here are a few other really good hard autoers. Finally, at number 1, we have the 6th anniversary version of Eisen. who I'm sure you all saw coming. Okay, here we go. Eisen has a really high SP as well as a +2 frenzy. He's also got a full stamina damage ability of 20%, and it's very likely to apply because of his other abilities. All of his attacks have a chance to inflict debilitating weakening/drain, which not only weakens the enemies, decreasing their attack and defense, but also heals Eisen for a pretty decent amount of his health that can be doubled with the right accessory, effectively giving him a pretty good chance to always be at full health. And he's very likely to inflict the status helmet, not only because frenzy's at 2, meaning all of his attacks hit 3 times as much, but also because his strong attack 2 is ridiculous. It's a Seeking Vortex that hits a total of 78 times. It lasts for 5 seconds, and if you build him correctly, you can use this attack every 7 seconds. Now odds are an auto-aim character is not going to use it every 7 seconds, since auto-aim characters just use it whenever, but it's still going to be active a lot, and it staggers the enemies and prevents them from attacking. And that's just one of his strong attacks. The other 2 are really impressive as well. Thanks to the Havoc, they all have an increased range, and it makes a strong attack 3 be on full screen. Then we have a strong attack 1. That's going to be the one he uses the most, since it recharges the fastest, and it's one of his best weapons when it comes to auto-aim. It's a beam shot with ridiculous range, way better than most other characters' beam shots. And a single one of these attacks can knock out entire waves of enemies. Not just because of the sheer amount of damage, but also because he has the ability to hit hidden enemies, and he's got Sharpshooter, which is guard break and nullify range resistance in one. Eisen's also got a Soul Reaper killer, which is the best killer in the game, and if all of this wasn't enough, they also made it towards Soul Reaper's miss 50% of the time. Why? They already didn't stand a chance. It doesn't make any sense. Anyway, they also gave him complete immunity to being paralyzed, which just makes sense seeing as he's anti-Soul Reaper. He may not have poise or damage reduction, but the sheer amount of abilities they gave him make him one of the best characters in the entire game to auto with. Definitely the best one when it comes to going up against Soul Reapers. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit like and subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for some more top 10 lists.